DNA, RNA, ribosomes, core metabolic pathways all support the concept of common ancestry. So we've got Mendel, and he was studying pea plants, and he looked at 7 traits, and he was looking at the inheritance of those 7 traits. And he found that there were 2 versions of each trait, and as he crossed purebred varieties, he saw that one would show up, and we could call that the dominant one, and one would be hidden and be passed on to future generations. All of those traits were independent of one another. But as he continued to study his peas, he did his experiments where he was purposely breeding them, and he understood reproduction. So he understood what he had to cross in order to get the next generation. But he didn't know exactly what was causing those traits, and he called them factors. As we move on, we've realized that what's actually getting passed on through reproduction are chromosomes. As we look at those chromosomes, those different versions we call alleles. And those different symbols we use to represent those alleles come back to different specific genes for different alleles. And when we get into the genes, we start realizing that it comes down to the DNA code on the chromosomes. If we go even further, we can see that it is the specific nucleotides that represent the letters of the code, and that these are the carriers of the genetic information. So this leads to this idea of common ancestry. So we've got A, T, G, and C. We've got our pyrimidines and our purines. We've got our 4 nucleotides. And as we look at various species of life, humans, fruit flies, corn, fungus, bacteria, they all have DNA composed of A, T, G, and C. We understand as that information gets passed on, the DNA has to be replicated in order to be passed on. So we are supporting common ancestry not just through features, but through processes like replication. In addition, we have RNA. And proteins kind of run the show within living things. So organisms have to do transcription and translation. And although these processes may look different with different species and different organisms, all of them have ribosomes in order to construct the proteins. There are other processes that are conserved within many different areas of life. For example, we can see that electron transport chains exist within the chloroplasts of plants, within the outer cell plasma membrane of bacteria, and within the mitochondria inner membrane. These core metabolic pathways ultimately allow all living things to use ATP from organic compounds to provide energy to maintain homeostasis and respond to stimuli. So, although Mendel focused on his pea plants and looked at inheritance, there are many features that are conserved through all forms of life. DNA, RNA, ribosomes, and core metabolic pathways support the concept of common ancestry.